Hello, world. Today is Wednesday, August 19th, 2026. This is a sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker, coming to you from the East Coast of the United States, Lexington, Kentucky. We'll take a look at the weather in this area for today. Currently, it is 67 degrees and feels like 67 degrees. Mostly cloudy, highs in the mid-80s and lows in the upper 60s. The high today will be 84 degrees. Storms likely overnight with a 74% chance of that. See mom and 8 kids flee wildfire on bike trip. Temperature today will be almost the same as yesterday, down by 2 degrees. And conditions for outdoor activities currently at this time. Running is good. Cycling is good. And gardening is good. Currently the AQI is good at 41. Pollen, tree none, grass low, and ragweed low. The UV index is low and noticeable humidity with the 2-mile-per-hour wind. Today, sunrise was at 6:56 a.m. and sunset will be at 8:25 p.m. And currently the time on the East Coast is 8:13 a.m. Other weather-related news. Hurricane threats can strike miles inland. Lala hit Hawaii with everything it had. Guardians of the Ranch, wildfire's toughest choices. Burning Man Great Escape, 3 days stuck in the mud. So that's the weather news for right now. This country is currently celebrating 250 years. But even with that being said, there are things that cause us to, especially me, raise our eyebrows and widen our eyes. This is one of those articles reported in the news. From Raleigh, North Carolina, here in the United States, black man found hanging from tree in Raleigh. Police say it's being investigated as a suicide. This is like one of those things, if you were to ask the question, how many people do you know have been reported committing suicide by setting themselves on fire, historically speaking? I'll wait. So this kind of pretends to, you have two types of people, speak about things. You have people say, that's us. And then you have another comment that says, this is us. So anyway, the article is as follows. Another black person has been found hanged in the South. Police are saying there are no signs of foul play and that they're investigating the death as a suicide. Black people aren't buying it. At this point, we hear a new version of this story nearly every week. According to the News and Observer, a black man who hasn't been identified publicly yet was found hanging from a tree in downtown Raleigh, North Carolina on Saturday. And according to a news release sent out Saturday night by the Raleigh Police Department, his death is being investigated as a suicide. as there appears to be no foul play involved. The department said the man was pronounced dead at the scene despite the life-saving measures performed by medical staff. The news release also addressed the online reaction. We want to take a moment to acknowledge the disturbing post that is currently being shared regarding this investigation that occurred today, the department said, without actually being in any way specific about what post it was talking about. We understand that this loss may be deeply painful for those who knew and cared about the individual. We ask everyone to please be mindful of the family and friends who are grieving and to avoid sharing unverified information or speculation while investigators continue their work. So, the police department all but announced the outcome of the investigation by essentially calling it a suicide before any investigation was concluded. But now it wants people to wait for said conclusion. And again, this simply happens far too often for it to be reasonable to expect people, especially Black people, not to collectively raise our eyebrows. So yes, there's going to naturally be speculation. As for the single disturbing post the Raleigh Police Department wished to address, again, which one would that be exactly? Earlier this month, a Black woman identified as 29-year-old Tasia Fortune was found hanging from a tree in Jackson, Mississippi. Police haven't yet determined whether or not her death was a suicide, but her family seems to already be getting ahead of that narrative, telling ABC News last week she did not do this to herself. Naturally, some people online have connected her death to that of the unidentified man in Raleigh. So I just wanted to make you as a viewing audience aware of those circumstances and situations that are occurring here in America, USA. Next one, recall issued for lunch meat nationwide, including Illinois and Michigan, due to listeria risk. Be conscious of what we eat. Several types of lunch meat have been recalled this month due to concerns that the products may be contaminated with Listeria monocytogenes. According to a recall notice initially published by the United States Department of Agriculture's Food and Safety Inspection Service on August 8 and later updated on August 13, approximately 3,215 pounds of ready-to-eat pastrami and corned beef products have been recalled. City Foods, Inc., an establishment based in Chicago, Illinois, announced that it was recalling ready-to-eat pastrami and corned beef products that were produced on July 16, 2026, and have a 60-day shelf life. These items were shipped to food service locations in Illinois, Iowa, and Michigan, from which they were further distributed nationwide, states the recall source. The affected products have establishment 1896 inside the USDA mark of inspection and the following identifying markers. 10-pound cardboard boxes containing 4 2.5-pound pieces of Metamar Hala sliced salami round. Various weight 20 to 30-pound cardboard boxes containing 2 to 3 pieces of Bay's Best Cooked Corned Beef Brisket with case code 18919 printed on the box label. Various weight 20 to 30-pound cardboard boxes containing 2 to 3 pieces of Kirsch delicatessen-style cooked corned beef brisket with case code 19751 printed on the label. The problem was noticed During routine inspections and as of publication, there have been no confirmed reports of illness due to the consumption of the affected products. According to the Mayo Clinic, Listeria infection can cause different symptoms depending on where in the body it happens. If it happens in the gut, symptoms can include upset stomach, diarrhea, and vomiting. If it occurs in the blood, it can cause flu-like symptoms including upset stomach, headaches, muscle aches, fatigue, fever, and chills. The infection can be very serious for people with weakened immune systems, pregnant people, and people older than 65. Okay. This next one, I had mentioned before that there have been flights delayed and canceled and things of this nature. This is from August 18. Over 969 flights delayed, 107 canceled amid widespread U.S. travel disruptions. Flight cancellations and delays disrupted operations at multiple airports across the U.S. New York's John F. Kennedy International Airport had the most delays out of all U.S. airports, reporting 47 delays, while Washington, D.C.'s Reagan National Airport had the most cancellations, with 10 canceled flights on Tuesday, according to flight tracker FlightAware. JetBlue reported the most disruptions among U.S. carriers with 53 delays and 15 cancellations on Tuesday. Here's why so many flights were disrupted across the U.S. Low clouds and reduced, why so many flights being disrupted across the country. Low clouds and reduced visibility may affect flights in Boston, New York, and Philadelphia on the East Coast, as well as Seattle, San Francisco, and San Diego on the West Coast, according to the Federal Aviation Administration. The FAA says that thunderstorms forecast in Orlando, Chicago, and Denver may also disrupt flights, causing cancellations and delays. So what should passengers do if they have a flight cancellation or delay? If your flight is delayed or canceled, here are steps to help you get to your destination as quickly as possible. Travel experts and airlines recommend the following steps. Check your flight status regularly through your airline's website or app. If you have an airline's app, enable notifications for gate changes, delays, and cancellations. If your flight is canceled, rebook as soon as possible. If you have a connecting flight, allow extra time if you're connecting to a busy airport. Keep essential items in your carry-on so you can access them, and review your airline's refund and rebooking policies in case of extended delays or cancellations. This next one is kind of a pleasure to report on. Jordan Woods and Carl Anthony Towns tied the knot over the weekend. And this article, coming from Baller Alert, contains quite a few of the details regarding the wedding. I'm not going to share all of it, but the title of the article, dated 18 hours ago, is Jordan Woods says her wedding was filled with love, but she and Carl Anthony Towns wanted the night to feel different. Carl Anthony Towns came to the NBA from Kentucky, men's basketball. The article begins or opens like this. Jordan Woods and Carl Anthony Towns have officially entered their married era after turning years of friendship and love into an intimate celebration overlooking the Pacific Ocean. According to Vogue, the couple married on Saturday, August 15, 2026, at a private home in Malibu, surrounded by family and friends. The new look inside the Jordan Woods wedding reveals that despite the glamorous setting, the couple wanted the weekend to feel personal rather than performative. So, they shared some pictures, bride and groom there. Have to kind of hold it at an angle. Again. The bride. And some little keepsakes, and get the proper name for that. Lockets, I believe it is, with pictures of the bride and groom. Jaden Smith and Carl. Kylie, Timothy, and one other couple. Oops. A bride and groom again. Several guests, young ladies. Enjoying the evening, dancing. Bride and groom. Carl Anthony Towns is a member of the New York Knicks basketball team. I think you might recognize who that is, Tatiana. Another couple, I'm not sure. It doesn't give a caption for each picture, just kind of runs the series. We're getting close to it now. Carl and Michael B. And a group of the guys that were there present. Members of the New York Knicks, I'm quite sure. And Jordan. And one more to conclude the set. So article continues. They met in 2017, began a romantic relationship in 2020. Engagement on Christmas Eve 2025. And Towns planned to propose privately and designed Woods' engagement ring himself. The approximately 15-carat De Beers emerald cut diamond also included personal details honoring their families. So they decided they didn't want a long engagement. So decided summer, considering the basketball schedule, would be the best time. Woods considered destinations including the south of France and Rome before deciding Malibu felt right. Woods explained that California is home and that the ocean became a place of reflection for her following her father's death. Carl also lost his mother, and that kind of added to the bonding between the two. So, the guest list also brought together entertainment, fashion, and basketball. Vogue reported that Kylie Jenner, Timothy Chalamet, Hailey and Justin Bieber, Gayle King, Jaden Smith, Jada Pinkett Smith, Ben Stiller, Michael B. Jordan, and several Towns New York Knicks teammates attended. Still, the celebrity turnout was not what Wood said she would remember most. Her comments to Vogue repeatedly returned to the love surrounding the couple and the feeling they wanted guests to carry home after the Jordan Woods wedding. After a night filled with food, dancing, music, and time with the people closest to them, Woods summed up the experience simply in Vogue's social coverage. It was filled with love, and I wouldn't change the experience for the world, says the bride. So congratulations to Jordan Woods and Carl Anthony Towns as they embark on their marriage journey. The last time I was on the show, I was discussing the changes in Taekwondo sports karate and their updating the electronic scoring equipment, not only in what the participants wear, but also in the point system that they would be using at tournaments with the upcoming Olympics, kind of like around the corner the way time goes by. I'd mentioned that I had myself a piece of electronic equipment for training, and it kind of took me back, on the path that, excuse me, that the martial arts has taken over time as far as training equipment is concerned. I remember years ago when I was young and started with karate, we just kind of like had a makaraba board for training in punches. And it was kind of like an identifying mark to have the two knuckles here kind of calloused up to show that you had hit something, a board, many, many times. As I transitioned into Kung Fu, visible signs of training were not necessarily required. And as I went through the hand techniques of Kung Fu, it was kind of like a given that your body did not have to, especially your hands, did not have to reflect the many techniques that you had learned, whether it was tiger claw or, pseudo chops or spear hands or, single digital attacks. And used to train like with sandbags for tiger claw and also for iron palm, but accompanying that hand training, back and forth and so forth and so on, was also applied medicines, tiger balm salve or Didajal ointment to keep your hands looking normal even as they were strengthened bone-wise and muscle-wise. The other thing in class was, leg stretching, seated straddle stretch, with somebody, a partner, and they would, spread their legs as well and put their feet on your ankles, and it was a rocking back motion, grab each other's forearms, and one person would lean back and then come up and the other person would lean back, and that added to the straddle stretch in particular, of your legs. And then Kung Fu kind of added another element where you would stand on the wall and somebody would kneel in front of you and you would put your ankle on their shoulder and they would slowly stand up until your leg was stretched as far as you could endure the pain. So these things have kind of been a part of my martial arts journey when it comes to conditioning and stretching and things of that nature. Now you have equipment that you can sit down with a mechanical bar and put your ankles on it and, adjust it accordingly, however far you want to go on a saddle stretch and other little things, supplemental training equipment. And one thing that kind of tickles me about it, I know there's this one piece of this headgear that's more related to boxing. It's like a little band and it has a string and a little ball on it, like a ball that goes with pickup jacks or something like that. And you have to punch it while you moving all around and things of that nature. So it's been an interesting, number of years watching equipment change and come forward to add to the skill level and performance level of martial artists. But most importantly, stretching and warm-ups prevents or helps reduce, the possibility of an injury. So this particular piece of equipment that I had and mentioned that I did pretty good on it is a kickboxing trainer, and it does have electronic sensors on it that light up, and it has 3 categories: boxing, kickboxing, and kicking. And you can set the levels of performance, and also set the minutes for the rounds. So when I mentioned it, I had written it down, and this dates back to May. And I made the kickboxing selection, set it for 3 minutes, picked one of the upper levels for performance, and my hit miss was 36/2. 36/2 for a 3-minute round of kickboxing. I registered a KO at 1 minute, 2 seconds of that round. So I'll repeat that. For a 3-minute round of kickboxing, my hit-miss ratio was 36/2, and it registered a KO at 1 minute, 2 seconds of that round. And that was May 23rd of this year. So, it does has its purpose, and it does serve as a means to kind of gauge your performance. I mentioned a number of times about how I feel about Tai Chi, and it just so happens that Tai Chi, as I've said often enough, especially Tai Chi 24, the form, helps improve your breathing, your balance, and your focus. There's a few aspects of Tai Chi that don't generally hit the public, and that's because you have to be involved, and as with anything, your progress dictates the information that is passed to you. If it's hit and miss, then you're not going to get as much. If you're regular, then you will get more. So there's an aspect of Tai Chi called push hands, which particularly trains to balance. So this year, Tai Chi, Chinese Kung Fu, there were 3 tournaments so far. So the prominent international event featuring extensive Tai Chi 2-man push hands, Tushu, competition and demonstrations this year is the 2026 Tushu World Cup held on February 14th to 15th, 2026 in Guadalajara, Spain. I read that name and for some reason I thought that Quincy Jones had put out an album called Guadalajara, but actually the proper name of it was Gata Matara, which is a tribute to African tribal music. But anyway, the article continues. Other notable events featuring prominent push hands showcases this year include the Arnold Sports Festival in Columbus, Ohio, March 2026, and the Can-Am International Martial Arts Championships, May of 2026. And this is all related to Chinese martial arts. Major 2026 push hands tournaments, Tushao World Cup, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, hosted in Guadalajara, Spain, focusing strictly on fixed step and moving step push hands battles. Arnold Sports Festival featured dedicated internal Tai Chi push hands showdowns and extreme moving step rule sets. Can-Am Internationals held at the Olympic Oval, showcasing stationary and moving push hands divisions. And I will say this, what triggered that was because that article and that little bit of research was because this weekend, as happens every so often, Blood and Bone, which is a picture that has Michael Jai White, a martial artist, in the lead, was on. And as many times as I've watched the picture, there was a particular scene where Michael Jai White is talking to Nona Gay, and she mentions Tai Chi being performed in the park. And he gets up and shows her how to do push hands. So on the left side, it's hand on the elbow. Each person puts a hand on the elbow on the left side underneath. And on the right side, they touch wrists, and that rocking motion of push hands begins. So it's a balanced thing, not to be too far in, not to be too far out. And he demonstrated that in the film. And up until now, as many times as I watched it, I had not seen that, had not noticed that scene. So that's kind of like what brought up all that about Tai Chi push hands. The next one for today, Wednesday, August 19, 2026, comes from Africa. But again, countries joining hands for a positive outcome. Excuse me. Ethiopia favors Chinese firms for its $12.5 billion mega airport project as no major U.S. contractor makes the short list. Chinese state-owned companies, and this is dated August 17, 2026. Chinese state-owned companies are among the leading contenders for major contracts at Ethiopia's $12.5 billion Bashar II International Airport, while no major independent U.S. contractor appears on the short list, drawing attention in Washington amid strained U.S.-Ethiopia ties shaped partly by tensions involving Egypt. Chinese state-owned companies dominate the short list for main construction contracts at Ethiopia's $12.5 billion Bashar II International Airport with 15 out of 33 spots, while no major independent U.S. contractor made the list. Ethiopian Airlines postponed contractor selection from August 2026 to January 2027, but says the delay will not affect the project's timeline. The Bashar II International Airport will be the largest and most expensive aviation project in Africa, set to open in 2030, with a capacity of 60 million passengers, eventually rising to 110 million. The project requires over $9 billion in external financing, with significant interest shown by both Western and Chinese lenders, though no final agreements are in place yet. Ethiopian Airlines completed pre-qualification for 4 major construction packages in April, attracting companies with joint ventures from China, Europe, the Middle East, Turkey, India, and Russia. Chinese firms secured 15 of the 32 places on the shortlist, either independently or through joint ventures spanning 10 groups. The 4 packages cover the main terminal and airport facilities, airfield works, supporting infrastructure, and off-site transport links. U.S. officials have pointed to Boeing and GE Aerospace as companies that could benefit from opportunities in aircraft, engines, and aviation technology and equipment linked to the Ethiopian Airlines expansion. In April, Ethiopian Airlines agreed to buy 6 additional Boeing 787-9 aircraft, adding to 20 already on order. So that's what I wanted to share with you today, Wednesday, August 19, 2026. A few things from here and there and around the world. Again, this is The Sideshow. I'm Theodore Parker. That's it. Hashtag